Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual Meet the Expert workshop. My name is Stefan, and I am part of the My World of Work Live team here at Skills Development Scotland. My World of Work Live is about helping you to understand future careers and what skills they may need. So in today's session, we're going to cover a quick overview of the finance sector. We're going to have a look at some of the opportunities within the sector. I'm then going to introduce you to our experts for today, who are Ria Mitchell, who's a UX designer, and Alexandra Crash as a digital marketing executive. I would just like to let you know that today's session is being recorded and it will be made available for everyone to watch on the My World of Work YouTube channel. That means you can go back and re-watch everything that has been talked about today. We also have a selection of other virtual Meet the Expert sessions available on the My World of Work YouTube channel as well. At the end of the session, a feedback link will also be provided. We ask if you could spare a few minutes just to fill that out for us, just to help us improve sessions going forward. The information that you do provide in the survey is anonymous and you don't have to provide any details. Also, please don't worry about questions today. Ask as many as you like. You can be anonymous when asking those as well. So just before I introduce you to today's experts, let's have a look at some of the information for the finance sector. So the industry now, 190,200 people currently work in the finance services industry in Scotland. As of 2020, the median advertised salary for jobs in this industry was 35,100. Financial services adds an estimated 9.5 million to the overall Scottish economy. There are around 28,865 businesses operating in the finance industry as well. The future. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the jobs market is constantly changing, so all the figures are estimated. The industry will need an estimated 13,000 jobs to be replaced or created between 2020 and 2023. Replacement need for this sector is predicted to grow to 28,000 jobs between 2023 and 2030. Digital skills will be in demand as changes in technology lead to new ways of interacting with customers and analysing the market. And again, both Ria and Alex can touch on this a bit more when we come to them. Customer service roles will continue to be important, especially with the development of new technologies like banking apps. So just before I introduce you to today's two experts, I'm just going to give you a bit of an insight into who they are. So first we have Alexandra Crash. Alex graduated in 2017 and started her career in digital marketing. In her current role, Alex helps manage the paid channels such as Google, Google Display, Google App Campaigns, Facebook and Instagram. Alex also uses her creative skills in creating compelling ads to increase conversations. Ria Mitchell. Ria is an experienced digital UX designer. Ria plans designs and evolves user-friendly interfaces across multiple digital channels and platforms. Ria turns broad conceptual ideas into highly creative designs that get people excited and also gets to enjoy the fast-paced, ever-changing digital environment and enjoys exploring new approaches, techniques and technologies, which again, they can both go a bit more into depth. So I'm now going to introduce you to our first expert, and I'm going to introduce you to Alexandra first.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex and I work as a digital marketing executive here at Wealthify. And Wealthify is basically an online investment platform and we aim to make investing easy and affordable for everyone. But what does digital marketing mean? I basically work within a team to advertise or market Wealthify services to potential customers through digital channels. And this is done through channels such as Google, or even Instagram and Facebook. So most likely half of the things you'll see on your Facebook feed are adverts. And a little bit background about myself. So I've graduated from design in 2017 and immediately I found interest in creative marketing, which got me my first working experience.
Thank you, Alexandra. So I'm now going to pass you over to Ria as well.
Great, thanks, Stefan. Hi everyone. I'm Ria Mitchell. I'm a UX designer at Wealthify. I've been at Wealthify for just under a year now, and I've got quite a mixed background. So I've worked at agencies. I've been a graphic designer. I've then moved into more sort of digital design, where I was developing at times, to now sort of specialise at UX design. If you guys are wondering what UX is, don't worry, I'll explain that. So UX is the experience that a user has when they use a digital product, or any product for that matter. That experience could be good or bad. And my job as a designer is to try and make that experience as good as it possibly can be. So looking at it, what it is that people want, what it is that people need, and trying to understand why people use our products, so that I can then work a design around what sort of things it is people are expecting, and things that people will engage with, and things that people will enjoy using. So that's kind of UX in a nutshell, and UX design. At Wealthify, I get to work on our products, such as our website and our apps. I get to work on user journeys, things such as adding money to an account, checking your balance, looking to see where it is that you're invested. I work really closely with the marketing team, people like Alex, where we kind of look at what it is that people are searching for on Google perhaps, or on Facebook, what sort of things are people commenting and saying that they want. And then together we will work out what kind of things can we do that will make these people happy, that would be useful to them and they would want to use. And then once I've got those designs ready, Alex helps get that out there into the real world and get people using them. So that kind of in a nutshell is my job.
Thank you, Ria. So we've got a number of questions coming in here. I'm just going to ask first, I'm going to stick with you, Ria, for the purpose of this, first of all, okay? So one of the questions that has come in, what subjects would you recommend I do at school? Yeah,
I mean, personally, I did art and design. I think anything creative is a good step into UX. Product design is also really good. And there's a lot of psychology in UX as well. So anything that is about understanding people and their habits, and being able to empathize with them is useful. But there's a lot of different courses. I'm sure it's all changed since I was at school and at university. And I wouldn't say there was one particular one that you had to do. I would probably just encourage that you did the ones that you enjoyed and the ones that you were interested in. A lot of what we do is kind of transferable skills, so I would kind of go from there. But for me, it was art and design.
Excellent. And you touched on this as well, Ria. What skills would you use on your day-to-day job?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problem solving in what I do. So any way of kind of any skills that allow you to do that are really useful to have. Being able to use and learn new technology is all super helpful. The tools and the stuff that I've used to do my job is constantly changing. There's always something new that's out there. So the ability to learn, if that is a skill, is an important one. Being able to communicate is important because we do a lot of presentations, so a lot of public speaking, a lot of explaining our designs and our work. So anything that kind of allows you to talk and explain what it is you do is a useful thing to practice. I think that's kind of the main ones I can think of.
Thank you, Ria. I'm going to come across you to yourself now, Alexandra. And what subjects would you recommend I do at school?
Yeah, so I'd say quite similar to Ria's answer. I wouldn't say there's a specific subject that you should do. I'd say probably do what you find interesting. For myself, I was very interested in art as well. So you could say it's probably totally different to what digital marketing was at the time. But equally, we get people who are very data driven. So anyone who's into maths, but it's not a necessity. You don't have to do maths. You don't have to, I don't know, do design. All the skills are transferable. So whatever I decided to do, I kind of backed it up with any internships or any experiences that I did later on, whilst I was at university and after university. So it's really do what you're really interested in now, because you've got to be happy with what you're doing, and it's definitely transferable.
Excellent, thank you, Alexandra. And obviously a really good point there about how they're transferable in that. And what skills would you say that you have to call upon on your day-to-day job, and the most?
Yeah, so I'd say you probably have to adapt really quickly, because a lot of things can change really quickly. Well, I'm just from experiences at Wealthify, we get new products launching very quickly, so you've got to stay on top of it. A lot of back-end management goes into all our accounts. Even though you see an ad on Facebook, a lot of work is behind that. We've got to set up all these campaigns. We've got to put the creative behind it. We've got to put all the research around who are these audiences that we're going to target as well. I wouldn't worry too much about being data driven as well. That's, for example, something that I had to develop on my job. So I was definitely not very good at Excel sheets, and they scared me when I joined Wealthify. I was a very creative person, so I was like, no Excel sheets. But actually, as I've been here for like 2.5 years, I use them every day now, and they just come so easy to me. So yeah.
And that's really good, obviously, speaking about something that you found a bit challenging at the start and then obviously developed that skill set. So thank you for that, Alexandra. I'm going to stick with you for the next two questions, and then I'll come back across to Ria. For your job, like, or your sector, is there apprenticeships that young people could do?
I don't personally know if there are any apprenticeships. I've never done any. However, I know that you can probably, so what I've been, whenever I was looking into digital marketing, getting into digital marketing, I would research any companies that maybe were local to me that focused on marketing, whether it was like content marketing or specifically digital marketing, and either contact them directly to see if there's any internship opportunities or even any shadowing opportunities where you can kind of go in for a week and see what people are doing in that industry. But I'm not sure about apprenticeship. I wouldn't say it's the necessity as well. I'd say probably focus on developing as many skills as you can. There's loads of online courses that you can do as well. Google offers a lot of them that you can even do right now if you wanted to. And they're very valuable. When we employ people, we look at that initiative that they've taken to do these courses, to learn more about the industry, even if they did not have the experience firsthand of working anywhere.
Thank you, Alexandra. And I think at the end of the session as well, there's going to be a link for apprenticeships.scot for young people as well. If you would like to go on and check out apprenticeships.scot, you can find out about apprenticeships across all the sectors. I'm, again, not quite sure if there's any there on finance, but it's something worth checking if it's what you're interested in. So I'm actually going to come across to you, Ria, because this next question is specifically for you. Okay. So the question, how long does it take to get an idea through the design process to being a fully functional customer product?
Well, that's a great question. It is very dependent on what it is we're working on. You could have what is quite a small idea that can be put through quite quickly. Or it could be something that's quite big that may take months to do. It's quite a difficult question to answer, but I guess they all follow the same process. So you always start with that idea and you kind of sketch out and you try to work out what will work. That could take a couple of minutes or it could take a couple of days, depending on how complex it is. Then generally that would go out to customers and we would get some initial feedback. We do some testing. That always takes about a day, typically. And then that feedback obviously needs to be taken on board, any changes need to be made, and then we need to work with the developers quite closely to get something built and get it out there. There can be multiple rounds of testing as well, so it really could take any amount of time depending on what it is. Sometimes there are deadlines, so sometimes we have to work within those, and when that's the case, we get around that by simplifying down what it is that we're doing. So that it's easier to design and it's easier to build. So we kind of go, what are the essential requirements for this to work? And what's the minimum that our customers will expect from us? With obviously the intention to build on it once it's out there. But that's a way of sort of shortening the length of projects.
Thank you. And is there anything there, Ria, that I know you've said that you haven't been in the organisation too long. So is there anything in the last year that you have been involved in and working on?
Yeah, there's loads. The first thing I started doing was a calculator for pensions. So helping people understand how far and how much money they would have in retirement based on what they wanted to put into it. The main challenge there being helping them to understand how much they would need in retirement, because I don't think many people really know. They see this number and they don't really know how long it's going to last them. And then more recently, the big piece of work I'm working on is improving and updating our apps, both tablet and mobile. Whilst we've got fully functional apps, they get really good feedback. They are a bit outdated now and there's always improvements you can make. So I'm kind of reviewing every journey within that product and looking to find ways to make it easier to use, more accessible, and just generally meet a few more of our kind of customer requests.
Thank you. And Ria, again, just before I come back to Alexandra, this is kind of going into what you were just explaining there and stuff, but is there any projects that you've felt that you've been really proud of?
I'm proud of all of my work in general. I get quite attached to the work I'm doing. I really care about it, and because of all the research that goes up front, we get to understand our customers and what it is they want. And one of the things I really enjoy about what I do is, we're trying to help people. We're trying to make things easier for people to do. So I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. It would be difficult for me to pick up one piece of work that I'm particularly proud of. I just generally, I get a lot of satisfaction from everything that I do.
I think that's absolutely amazing that there's so many things there that you're really proud of and stuff. I think that speaks volumes for the role and for you as well. So thank you for that. Alexandra, I'm going to come back to you. You said earlier, again, this question is specifically for you based on something that you said earlier. You said that you were scared of Excel when you started. Are there good training opportunities for further development to building things that you're maybe a bit skeptical or not confident in, really?
Yeah, definitely. So I think when I was, I think after my GCSEs, there was actually in my school an opportunity to do further training in basically all the Microsoft products, and I did it all, but I completely forgot them. I got the certification and completely forgot about it by the time I was 20. But yeah, there's loads online. You can do loads of online courses. I think there are websites such as Udemy that you can sign up to and do loads of courses on various of different products. But yeah, Microsoft is definitely, and even like simple things, I'll find myself doing something and I'll Google a formula and try and find out how to do something on Excel. So it's kind of like learning on the job. But equally, there are so many people in our business, especially in the finance department, that use Excel like wizards. It's just incredible how they can use it. So you can always ask them questions.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's really important, like that learning on the job, even if it is looking up something on Google, like it's something you didn't know before. So again, thank you for that. Alexandra, next question for you. What do you think digital marketing will look like in the future? I know that's quite difficult to predict, but what would you say you think it's going to look like?
Yeah, it's a hard question. I think I'd like to think that it's not going to change massively. I mean, just looking at the current situation with COVID, a lot of businesses had to kind of refer back to being online. Any places that only had physical presence on the streets, they had to revert to creating websites, and a lot of that, they had to advertise it. So a lot of digital marketing jobs probably emerged during that time. And the advertising industry is just ever growing. Like the amount of people that start advertising, especially we can see it within the app industry, loads of new apps are emerging. So I think I can't see that changing much for negative. I can see it just growing and growing more. I have a feeling that there might be more changes towards privacy policy and things like that, which might affect our tracking and kind of like going after audiences. So we might be limited with that. But in terms of digital marketing jobs, I can see them just growing. Yeah, I feel like every business needs somebody like us to advertise their product.
Thank you. Ria, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to put the same question to you as well. Obviously, like it's very, very difficult to predict what the future is going to look like and stuff, but how do you envisage UX design? Do you think it's going to become a much more prominent thing, or what do you envisage for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think UX design has already evolved massively in the last couple of years. Back when I was sort of at college and university, it didn't even exist, or it did, but it wasn't really a named thing. So the recognition for it has grown a lot, and I think it will continue to do so. The thing that I really enjoy and the reason I'm in digital is because of technology and how quickly it changes. So, will we still be using mobile phones? Will we still be using computers? Or will it be something completely different? I genuinely don't know. But I find that really exciting. And I think, UX will always exist. UX design will always exist. On what platforms and in what areas? Who knows? I think, yeah, the future could be quite exciting. You've got VR and augmented reality, you've got watches, you've got lots of smart tech coming out. I think there's lots of opportunity in different areas that could be really good.
That actually sounds really, really interesting, to be honest. Definitely something that I would like to know more about. Ria, as a young person, do I need to go to university or college to become a UX designer?
I mean, I don't personally feel like you do. I think, I've been involved in recruitment quite a lot. So I've spoken to different people with all different kinds of backgrounds. There's some really, really great college and university courses out there. And I personally did go that route because I wanted to learn as much as I could before I was thrown into the world of work. But it's not essential. And, I've employed people and I've worked with people who have come straight out of school, who have gone out and they've done, perhaps they've done internships and they've got experience that way, or they've done work experience in different places, or they've taken on personal projects. A lot of what we look for is attitude and passion and a real kind of commitment to what it is that we do. And a lot of people do their own projects and they have their own examples of work that they can show, and that is a really good way of explaining their understanding of the topic and kind of what their desires are. So no, it definitely isn't essential, but I would say there's some really, really good courses out there that would be worth looking into if you're interested in getting into UX.
Amazing. Brilliant. So yeah, again, I think that emphasis on skills, those transferable skills that you've both touched on and stuff, Ria, has been really, really important. Ria, this next question for you, it's a bit of a double-edged question. What would you say are the most enjoyable and challenging parts of your job?
Yeah, sure. Most enjoyable, I think, is seeing my products in use. So once something's been designed, even before it's been built and is put in front of customers and we get feedback, that's really enjoyable. And I can see if what I've done works, if what I've done doesn't work, and I can really learn from everything there. Similarly, it can be quite challenging when you've designed something that you're really proud of and you really think is going to work, and you put it in front of someone and they just don't understand it or they just don't get it. But I see that as a learning opportunity and the opportunity to go, okay, I've not got this quite right. What can I take away from this and what can I now improve? And because everything's always evolving and nothing's ever finished or set in stone, we have the opportunity to do that with digital. Whereas with print, obviously, once you print a flyer and you hand it out, that's it. You can't make the changes afterwards. So whilst it can perhaps be a bit challenging and a bit frustrating at the time, the opportunity to learn and develop is always there. And I don't take anything personally, and I think that's a key thing with all designs, so that I don't get too upset about it.
Absolutely, and I think obviously the way it's evolving, I think a really key point there that you've just highlighted about the digital aspect, you can change it, whereas like if it's paper, and I suppose that plays in as well to the climate emergency and things like that as well, cutting back on the paper and stuff as well. So I'm going to come back across to Alexandra. Alex, again, another question that has been put in directly for you. Very, very interesting question. How do you keep on top of new digital platforms? For example, TikTok wasn't even a thing 2 years ago.
Yeah, just think about what's going to happen like the next 2 years when new platforms are going to emerge. Yeah, that's a very good question, because we're so busy with it within our digital marketing team. Like sometimes you don't even have a chance to sit and really think about, okay, where are the new opportunities? Where else could we start advertising? But we work very closely with Google account managers, so and Microsoft advertising managers as well. So a lot of the insights we get from them, we get invited to a lot of I'd say like webinars as well. Like we had an opportunity about 2 years ago to go to Dublin for like a 3-day summit, app summit, and really learn about the new features that are going to come out. A lot of gaming industries as well that we find out about, which are not particularly linked to obviously FinTech and finance, but a lot of those little features that are coming out in Google will actually help us in advertising. But in terms of like finding out about what new products are coming out, I guess that's just, yeah, I mean, you can probably follow loads of websites that might be able to tell you more about products that are about to emerge, that are watching these sites. But yeah, it's mainly just staying on top with just contacting our account managers in that way within the obviously the working environment. And then your personal time, yeah, I just download loads of apps and try them out.
Yeah, really good way of managing it, to be honest. And I think Ria actually touched on it earlier on in terms of some of the newer technologies, like you've got your virtual reality, you've got your augmented reality and things. Obviously, these things are only coming about, so you have to sort of go with the flow as well and try and learn these as they go, because technology is changing so quickly. So thank you for that, Alexandra. Alexandra, next question. Again, this is always on the cusp of everyone's lips at the minute because we're going through a pandemic, but has it been difficult joining a new company during COVID and working from home?
So I think that might be a little bit more related to Ria, as she joined, I guess, just before the pandemic started, if I'm correct. I've been with Wealthify over 2.5 years, but I can touch on working from home. I mean, I've got to say, Wealthify adapted so quickly to it. We were set up pretty much immediately with laptops and being able to work from home. So there hasn't, like, nothing stopped the business growing or evolving. I guess it was a little bit harder because obviously we have a lot of meetings, so everything had to change into digital, and Microsoft Teams and Zoom, and after a while you do get sick of them. So I am looking forward to the time when we can go back into the office and see everyone. But it hasn't been massively challenging. Like I say, digital marketing, I mean, within the name you've got digital, everything can be done online. You don't have to be in the office. Obviously it's nice seeing some people, but at the same time, you could do your job anywhere. I could go probably move to Scotland if I wanted to and do it there. And I think a lot of new starters that we recently recruited, a lot of them are from around UK. Not everyone is from Wales. I think Ria is herself, she's from around Bristol. So I think COVID has not affected anything negatively at all. It's actually expanded us and let us grow as well and employ new people that maybe we wouldn't employ if we were just based in an office, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that's really obviously powerful as well, how the pandemic has maybe pushed you towards working from home as well, and like you could work from different parts of the UK and things like that. I think that's amazing that you're able to connect with Ria. It sounds like in a way, from what the two of you are discussing, your roles actually rely heavily on each other to make sure that things are successful. So obviously the two of you are clearly working together on a lot of things as well. So I'm going to come back to you, Ria, for the next question. Again, I'm going to put the same question that I'd put to Alexandra there. Has it been difficult for you joining a new company during COVID and working from home?
Yeah, sure. So I did join during the pandemic. I joined in July last year, which, yes, it's a bit strange not going into an office and seeing faces, but I was made to feel welcome from day one. I was given all of the equipment that I needed in order to successfully do the job from home. I guess the challenging thing was getting to know people, but everyone's so warm and welcoming, and there was already a really strong culture in place when I joined that actually it did feel that I kind of slotted straight in. I run a lot of research sessions, just the nature of what I do, and that has involved a lot of different people across the business. So I've been lucky in a way that that's given me the opportunity to see lots of different faces and talk to lots of different people. As Alex mentioned, I'm not actually in Wales, I'm over the bridge in England. And actually the opportunity for this job may not have existed for me if it required me being in the office every day. I'm not sure the constant commute to and from would have been particularly, my cup of tea. And, working from home is something that's going to kind of proceed for the business as well. We've actually done a lot of recruitment as well throughout the pandemic. So obviously I'm one of those many people, but it's allowed the company to expand outside of its four walls. So it's allowed them also to kind of reach out to lots of different areas. As Alex said, you could work from Scotland and do our job, even though they're based in Cardiff. And we do have employees actually in Scotland as well. That commute would be even worse than mine. So being able to work from home is actually a real benefit. And the technology and the tools that we use, they work everywhere. So that's all good. I previously worked for a design agency, and I used to have to travel a lot to be with customers and with clients. So, the equipment to work from anywhere has always kind of been there. I guess a lot of businesses had to learn how to use it, but I think in our industry, we are quite well equipped and quite well set up for that already. So thankfully, it was a relatively easy transition.
Amazing, and I think it just comes to show, Ria, that you've joined the organisation during a global pandemic, and you're a key player for the organisation. So it just comes to show that that's all come down to your skills and stuff like that as well, being able to adapt to things like that, which is absolutely amazing. One of the other points, Ria. So this question has come in saying both the experts seem to have started out in being interested in like the creative art and design type subjects at school. So the question is, what attracted you to the finance sector?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess first of all, never really saw myself necessarily ending up in any particular sector. I just knew I wanted to do something creative, and I enjoyed design and I enjoyed creating things that people use. As I said, my background's quite mixed. I've gone from working at agencies to working in-house. I worked for a vitamin and supplements company for a while, and then again another agency. And through the agencies particularly, I got to work with lots of different clients in lots of different areas. And we started getting a lot of them in finance and insurance. They seem to be kind of the hot areas for UX. And it was more about following what I enjoyed than it was about a particular sector for me. But finance is obviously, and FinTech is obviously a very exciting area to be. We are looking to make things easier for people as a company, not just as designers. So that appealed to me as well. The whole proposition of Wealthify is to make investing accessible to everyone. And that is very kind of in line with my values as well. So that's sort of what brought me to it.
Thank you. So again, I'm going to come back to you, Alexandra, and I'm going to ask you the same question. I think it's really important to get the insight from both of you there. But what attracted you to the finance sector?
Yeah, so the question is spot on. I mean, I don't think at the time a lot of people with a creative background would have gone into digital marketing, but it is changing at the moment. Like a lot of people with a design background do come into marketing. But the main reason why I got into financial technologies is basically whenever I graduated, there was a period of time where obviously I didn't know what's going to happen. I tried to get a job. I think there was a period of time of 3 months where you're just sitting, you've got your degree and you think, great, I'm ready for a job. But actually you've got to do the graph now and try and apply to everything, find loads of different opportunities out there. And at the time, somebody I knew started working at a new startup, which was a FinTech startup. So it was all about prepaid cards and apps. It was kind of like a Monzo at the time. And it really interested me because at university, I did fine arts as my undergraduate, but at the time, whenever I was doing it, I realized, oh, this is definitely not what I wanted to do. I'm never going to become an artist. I'm not going to sell paintings for millions. This is never going to happen. So I started thinking about digital design. And then obviously from digital design, I started thinking about marketing as well. And I got loads of opportunities within my university to go and help out the brand team and get involved in projects to get students engaged. And that was done through social media and marketing. So then it kind of clicked and I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. And once I graduated, I got an opportunity to work within a financial technology. So it was never something that I envisaged that I would do. I don't know, it just kind of happened at the time. But it was kind of a good thing to happen because I was actually very interested in financial apps, and it got me really into thinking about money management as well. And something that Ria touched up on is, Wealthify tries to make investing affordable and easy for everyone. It's kind of working for a company that does something positive rather than just creating marketing ads, I don't know, for gambling or something, you know what I mean? It's it has a little bit more meaning to it. So that's pretty much how I got into financial technologies, and then I went and started a job at Wealthify.
Alexandra, thank you for that. I'm going to ask you both two more questions just before we finish up the session. So I'll just stick with you for the next two questions, Alexandra. Is there any piece of advice that you would be able to give a young person when it comes to choosing their subjects or thinking about their future career? What would be the best piece of advice you would give?
Yeah, I would say don't be too harsh on yourself. I mean, I remember being that age and thinking, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to become an artist and I'm going to stick to fine arts. And then things happen that maybe you don't get into university like I did. I remember I applied for Edinburgh School of Art and Design and I did not get in, and it hit me hard. I cried so hard and I felt like, no, my dream's not going to come true. But then things happen for a reason, and I just went through it. I applied for another university and I got back into it and it's absolutely fine, and everything happens for a reason. So I wouldn't be too harsh on yourself just trying to find subjects that you think are gonna, this is your future. I want to become, I don't know, an accountant, or I want to become unless you want to become a doctor, obviously, probably you might have to specify a little bit more into it. But yeah, I would just advise everybody to do what they find interesting, because at the end of the day, you want to get into something that you're going to enjoy. And even if you find out that after 3 years of doing that subject, doing your A-levels, it's not something you want to do, there's going to be more and more opportunities for you to, find out what you want to do. Like sometimes I think, oh, is this actually what I want to do? Maybe I'd like to do, I like the sound of what Ria does sometimes. Like every day there's going to be different interests that might come your way. So don't be too harsh.
Brilliant, thank you. Alexandra, final question for you. If you could go back to school, would there be anything that you would change?
Oh, I don't know. I have very good memories of school and all the subjects that I've done. So I don't know. I sometimes think that maybe I guess at school you're not really, I don't know about now, but when I was in school there was not much teaching around obviously finances, and apart from doing like business studies and things like that, it doesn't really teach you about like day-to-day money management or how marketing even works. Like I don't think back in there's no courses, anything or any subjects to do with that. And the reason why I went into fine art was because it was like the only thing I thought art was. I didn't realize that there was like product design, graphic design, ceramics even in universities. So maybe that's the only thing I would change. Maybe I still probably stay within the design, because that was something that always interested me and I really like doing it. So maybe I would just try a different course. But apart from that, no, I can't think of anything.
Thank you, and it sounds really good that you've obviously got all these really nice memories from school as well. So thank you for sharing that with us, Alexandra. Ria, I'm going to come back to you for the final two questions, and the question is really, what advice would you give to young people in regards to like subjects, or think what they could consider when they're thinking about their future career?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if I kind of go from my experience, so I was very driven by what I enjoyed, and I think that's what my advice would be, is to choose something that you're going to enjoy, something that you like doing. It makes it easier to kind of stick to on the bad days, and it also, you don't want to end up in a job that you're not going to enjoy. I don't think. You spend a lot of your life at work, and I think I'm quite blessed and quite lucky that I do genuinely enjoy what I do. I know some people that aren't quite in that situation, so I feel that I have got there by going after what I enjoy. I think another kind of key thing is to just listen to yourself and what it is that you want to do, and try not to be guided too much by other people. That includes me as well. Don't be too guided by me. But I know I had people sort of saying things to me or putting doubts in my mind when I was choosing my courses. A lot of people didn't think art and design was a career, or I was getting given stats of not so nice things for whatever reason, and I just ignored all of that, and I kind of like, this is what I enjoy and this is what I want to do, and obviously I've got to where I've got to as a result of that, so I'm really pleased that I did that.
Thank you, Ria. So the final question for you, Ria, I'm just going to ask you the same that I asked Alexandra there. I think it's really important to get your perspective. But if you could go back to school, is there anything that you would change or do differently?
Oh, well, I don't particularly think there is. I think, whatever decisions I made, whether they were good or bad at the time, they've got me to where I am now. And who knows, with the butterfly effect, what would have happened if I did something differently, where I would be. So I do believe everything kind of happens for a reason. And even if things don't always go your way at the time, there's some good to become out of it. You learn a lesson, or or something good will come out of it later down the line. So I don't think there is anything I would change.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you for sharing that as well. So that's us come to the end of today's session. You can find out more about careers at www.myworldofwork.co.uk. You'll find lots of information there that can help you make choices about your career. And if you need some further inspiration on what to do, there are also tools there as well that will help you to understand your strengths and what you could potentially be good at as well. And there's lots of job profiles for you to explore. Some, as you can see on the screen, related to what Ria and Alexandra spoke about. If you want to learn more about apprenticeships in Scotland, check out apprenticeships.scot. And for information on digital careers, you can check out digitalworld.net. You can also speak to your school careers advisor, as they will have much more information and guidance for you, and they're there to support you on your journey. So that's us come to the end of the session. Firstly, I would like to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to both Ria and Alexandra for taking the time to join us, giving us such a really, really good in-depth insight into their job roles and their career journey so far. I found it really interesting, and I hope that you found it as interesting as well. I know from the questions, there's been a lot of interesting questions, so you have clearly found that really, really useful. As mentioned at the beginning of the session, it has been recorded, so you can view it as many times as you want at a later date, and you can check this out at the My World of Work YouTube channel. Finally, I just want to take the opportunity to say a huge thank you to you as the audience for joining us today. Again, hope you found that really useful, and have a nice day. Thank you.